In late 2005, the city of Phoenix was plagued by a deadly spree of random shootings. Beginning with attacks on animals, events took a menacing turn when 20-year-old David Estrada was found lying dead at the side of the road. In the 6 months following David's death, the violence escalated, with shootings now totaling 13, including the slayings of animals, the destruction of property, and a second mysterious murder. Detective Cliff Jewell would soon receive a phone call that would open a new, bloody chapter.
Well, on December 29, 2005, my homicide unit was sent to a triple shooting in the downtown Phoenix area.
On that night in December, there would be 3 separate shootings, all within close proximity of one another. The stakes, it seemed, were beginning to rise in this deadly game.
Officers found the body of Marco Carrillo. He was laying here next to this building. It appeared to me that he might have been coaxed to a car, started to walk to the car, was shot actually twice in the chest. They also found Jose Ortiz, who was 2 blocks further up the road, and he was found in a similar situation. He had a gunshot wound to the center of the chest, and he was lying next to a sidewalk. The third crime scene ended up being the location where Mr. Tordai was shot.
Detective Jewell began to analyze the evidence, searching for any trace of a clue that might help to break the case.
That night, I pulled surveillance cameras for every state building so that I could find out what vehicles were moving. And it shows a car driving up to this intersection. It stops, makes a very slow turn, and then is out of camera range, but that camera picks it up, accelerating at a high rate of speed. In the footage, a cat is shown walking down the sidewalk. That cat jumps about 3 feet in the air for no apparent reason, and I believe it was at that point that that gunshot was fired, which caused that cat to jump.
Although the surveillance footage offered a vital lead, the suspicious vehicle could not be clearly identified.
At that point, it became random to me, and it was just somebody driving around and shooting anybody that they saw walking.
Analysis of further evidence recovered from the crime scene would produce a chilling discovery.
And when we compared our evidence and realized that this shooting series was connected to the homicide of David Estrada, as well as many horses and dogs that were shot, we knew that we had a serious problem. Not only that, it's not usual for people to run around and do these kind of things. We don't have people just run around randomly shooting anybody that's moving. So it was frustrating, and I knew that this was going to be a hard one to solve.
Phoenix was a city under siege, with its people prisoners in their own homes.
The volunteer Guardian Angels are now patrolling Phoenix streets, but that's not enough for some residents who are arming themselves.
Gun sales have gone up probably about 50% in the last 2 to 3 weeks.
As investigators worked around the clock, talk of the serial shooters dominated conversation.
So this created a sense of terror in all of us. If there was a water cooler talk, that was it.
People were worried about getting gas or walking and jogging and taking their dogs out for a walk.
At that point, my job was to do as much research as I could to find similar shootings. So I put out a bulletin to all the 23 cities in the Valley area asking for random shootings.
38-year-old handyman Tony Mendez and 56-year-old Vietnam veteran Reginald Remillard, 2 men whose murders were as yet unsolved, were now identified as being the earliest known victims of this vicious spree. Cliff Jewell began to fear the worst.
I believed that it was the same people. The MO was exactly the same. People walking in dark areas at between 10 and 2 o'clock in the morning. I just knew that they were all the same.
4 months on from the night of the triple murder, Jeff Hausner would introduce his brother Dale to his wayward friend, Sam Dieteman.
I think Dieteman had a feeling of instability from childhood. He was a child of divorce. He had been married and that fell apart. He had abandonment issues. He had control issues. So I think we already have a guy who has, you know, some pretty serious problems.
Down on their luck, and having both suffered difficult divorces and the loss of their children, Dale and Sam quickly found a common ground.
We have two guys who've lost their wives and everything else. And surely there would be anger because they're angry that life has, you know, not been good to them and they don't have the things other people have. So there's probably anger and resentment.
Jeff would soon loosen his ties with the group after finding a job, leaving Dale without a partner in crime.
Jeff had gotten a job working in that apartment complex as a maintenance guy, so he couldn't go out and play anymore.
Jeff also had a living girlfriend, so he broke off from Dale.
Luckily for Dale, Sam Dieteman would prove to be the perfect replacement. Just a month after this meeting, in May 2006, the fatal shootings would continue. A young woman in their own homes. By the summer of 2006, with the body count ever rising, detectives began to close their net around a pair of killers who it seemed were hunting the ultimate prey. An appeal for information to identify the culprits behind 2 supermarket fires would result in investigator Darrell Smith receiving a vital tip-off.
Eventually, we did get a call. I had an extensive conversation with that person. That person was Ron Horton.
Ron was a local biker who had recognized one of the men in the CCTV footage as his regular drinking buddy, Sam Dieteman.
He told me that he was hanging out at one of these bars, the Stardust, and Sam Dieteman was one of the people that he frequents in there all the time. And one night, Sammy was in the bar with Ron, and Sammy asked him if he knew what it was like to kill somebody.
Ron looked at him and said, "What are you talking about? No, I've never killed anybody." And he said, "Well, I know what it feels like."
Sammy started telling him that he was the one shooting these people throughout the valley.
With investigators finally in possession of the lead they'd been so tirelessly searching for, they would set to work putting an end to the serial shooter's reign of terror, once and for all.
When I first talked to Ron on the phone, he agreed to meet with Sammy.
However, despite Ron's best efforts to coax his friend to a meeting, Dieteman stubbornly refused. Tragically, that night Robin Blasnek would become the next victim of the serial shooters, the latest in a run of unprecedented violence that numbered 47 separate incidents.
A young girl, Robin Blasnek, 22 years old, had been shot at exactly the time that he was texting back and forth with Sam.
Although it was too late to save the life of Robin Blasnek, Ron arranged a meeting with Sam the following night, and the police were determined that they would finally get their man.
Finally, the meeting did happen. They showed up at the Stardust bar, and when Sammy showed up, he was being driven to the bar by Dale Hausner. We continued the surveillance into the night.
Dale took Sam home, back to their apartment, and the surveillance continued.
A wiretap at Hausner's apartment provided investigators with a chilling insight into the minds and motivations of this pair of ruthless killers.
During the conversations on the wiretap, they were saying they were pioneers here in the area for shooting so many people.
Hausner had a need to be famous. Probably because he wanted to compensate for deep and strong feelings of inadequacy and inferiority that went to the core of his personality.
They were annoyed with the media coverage because they weren't getting the number of victims correct.
They wanted to be on top. They wanted to be the ones that were recognized. You know, that it was a competition, it seemed to them. Then they started talking about Robin being killed the night before. They made some statements about that shooting, which gave us the indication, obviously, it was them that did it.
With police now in possession of the evidence they needed, they moved swiftly to get their men.
At that point, it was decided that we would make the arrest.
The green light went on. Sammy came out. He was taken down.
Dale was arrested shortly after.
Dale Hausner, wearing nothing but shorts, clearly caught unaware when tactical teams took him into custody Thursday night.
The reactions of Dale and Sammy to their arrests appeared to be no surprise. Calm, no resistance.
On executing a search of Hausner's apartment, the picture became clearer still. The evidence found inside the home of Phoenix's most wanted men was damning.
There was ammunition, and there were a whole case of lighters that matched the lighter that they found, the same color, everything, at the Walmart store.
Scattered amongst the debris of drink and drugs excess were newspaper clippings the pair had collected relating to the shootings.
There were pictures, there were books, like they were keeping trophies of each of the killings.
Keeping clippings as you know, like big game hunters in a way. Look at what I can do, so that they could relive their prowess.
Found inside a rubbish bag was a map tracking the path of their deadly pastime.
On that map, there were felt tip markings, and when we started looking at the locations of shootings, they corresponded with the dots on the map.
And in the trash bag, they found a soda can that had a .410 gauge shotgun shell in it that had been fired.
Forensic evidence would later show that the shell had been used in the previous night's slaying of Robin Blasnick. As news spread of the arrest, the people of Phoenix could at last breathe a sigh of relief, and the families of the victims could start to think about justice.
I was at work, and everybody came out and said, Rebecca, they've caught the serial killers. They said, they're on TV, they're on TV. And I went back into the lunchroom, and I looked, and I saw them, and my knees fell.
During the interrogation, investigators soon learned more about the two men they had spent so many hours pursuing.
We actually thought that Dale Hausner would be the one to talk, and that Sam Dieteman was a big muscular guy, that he would be the ringleader, so to speak.
Dale was, his attitude was, we had the wrong person. It wasn't him. He was trying to be Mr. Helpful, you know, in that type of aspect. If he knew anything, he'd certainly tell us.
I stay out of trouble for most of the part, you know, except for alcohol and a couple of little drugs every now and then. I haven't been in trouble with the law or anything, but that would just be so a kick in the ass to me, a spit in the face, that someone would use my gun and my car to go out and hurt people like that.
He didn't appear to get rattled much. It almost appeared to me as if he was having fun with it. He was toying with us.
You specifically said, quote, what about the guy who shot at 27th Avenue in Northern?
Actually, that was me, not Sam.
Positive. Why would you say something like that?
People say silly stuff when they're drunk. I mean, look at Mel Gibson.
He loved every minute of that interview. He loved the game, and that's what I think he thought it was.
I keep tracking the serial killer. The other guys that are going around shooting people.
What do you know about that particular case?
35 people shot, animals, horses, dogs, 5, 6 people dead.
The closest we got him to any involvement was the hypotheticals. Well, if my car was used, then Sam must have been taking it when I was asleep.
I'm just saying, but if he killed however many people he killed or shot or whatever, that's on him, that's not on me. So I'm not protecting anybody, so.
Okay.
He definitely believed he was smarter than all the detectives involved.
I'm not a genius or anything, but we should talk about it. Just shouldn't be this hard. I mean, maybe it is this hard to catch people, but.
Maybe the person's just really good. I mean,
It could be
right? I mean,
it could be a law enforcement officer, it could be Sam, it could be anybody. The person's got to be smart, you know, I mean, because they've been getting away with this for a long time.
Do you have any idea why you're here?
Yeah, I believe it'd be the serial shooter case.
Dieteman was quick to confess, laying bare the horrific details of the pair's crimes.
Sometimes you just see somebody and turn around and come back and get them.
You know, Sam Dieteman, he was pretty forthcoming, told us what they did, how they did it.
And then all of a sudden he's, lean back for a second. Okay. How's this?
bang. Okay. And then he continues on the way. And what does Dale do after he fires?
He kind of chuckles a little bit and has a gun down beside his leg there. Just looked at me for a second and kept driving.
It just seemed to me like he was going along for the ride. I think it was obvious he was not the brains behind this, but Dale was.
Is it fair to say that Dale was more interested in the notoriety of this than you were? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, fair to say. Well,
Did you
talked about it quite a bit once I started to stand there.
Sam was somewhat of a mental prisoner of Dale, and Dale was able to manipulate that and involve Sam to this level of violence.
Dieteman also laid out information relating to numerous crimes Dale had carried out previously with his brother Jeff.
Have they said anything specifically to you about being responsible for the death of another human being?
Well, Jeff has, but that's, with him, I don't know what to believe.
Okay.
He gave us information about several of the shootings that occurred prior. He told us all about Dale and Dale's brothers' activities, what they termed recreational violence.
So he was with the shooting dogs and, you say, sheep and llamas or something.
We found out that his brother Jeff and he would go out prior to meeting Sam Dieteman, and they would just pick fights with people or stab people.
Recreational violence or something, we go at, like, beating up people.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Recreational violence. Is that what you called it? RVing, I guess. Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Although the killers were now behind bars, there was still one question that loomed large. Between the summers of 2005 and 2006, Phoenix was plagued by a spree of random recreational violence. The men responsible, Dale Hausner and Sam Dieteman, had targeted people, animals and property with reckless abandon and were motivated, it seems, by little more than the thrill of the kill. Hausner and Dieteman were arrested in connection with nearly 100 separate charges of death and destruction. Dieteman would quickly confess, while Hausner protested his innocence in the face of overwhelming evidence. In court, through Dieteman's confession, Rebecca Estrada would learn the details of her son's final moments.
The way that it was testified, and as to Sam telling us in court that Dale had said they drove up and they turned around and came back and coaxed David out to the street for directions and had the window down. And as soon as David got up to the car, Dale Hausner pulled the shotgun up and killed David with one shot to the lung.
Paul Patrick, who attended the trial every day, would be shocked by the arrogance and lack of remorse displayed by Hausner.
Sitting in court, he turned around to myself and a mother of a murder victim. Took the middle finger at us. I wanted to feed it to him.
More shocking still were the revelations surrounding the death of Robin Blasnik. Evidence obtained from the wiretap would show the true depth of the pair's depravity.
Dale Hausner is bragging about the shooting of Ms. Blasnik and making derogatory comments to her.
Dale Hausner was saying, "Help me, help me." And what he was doing is mimicking Robin because she didn't die right away. I mean, how vicious, how cruel to mimic a victim when they're begging for help. It was quite, and now you know what type of person you're dealing with here.
The fact that they found it amusing and laughed after this, I think also speaks to their psychological makeup, how they just didn't care about anything, nothing. They just wanted to destroy. Somehow in their perverted mind, it made them feel superior in some way.
In court, Hausner proclaimed his innocence, yet made several revealing slip-ups, including drawing comparisons between himself and the infamous killers of the past.
Dale, on the witness stand, even sort of gloried in the idea that his name, Hausner, would be sort of equated with the name of Manson, you know, notorious serial killer.
Dale Hausner was convicted of a total of 80 separate charges, including the first-degree murders of David Estrada, Nathaniel Schaffner, Jose Ortiz, Marco Carrillo, Claudia Gutierrez Cruz, and Robin Blasnik. In 2013, having spent several years behind bars, Dale Hausner was found dead in his cell, having taken a lethal overdose. Sam Dieteman pleaded guilty to the murders of Claudia Gutierrez Cruz and Robin Blasnik and was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. Jeff Hausner would receive an 18-year sentence for the stabbing of Timothy Davenport, a crime that Dieteman had revealed in confession was linked to the spree of random recreational violence. However, the question of what exactly had driven these men to such violent extremes still loomed large.
Sam Dieteman has no idea why he was involved in it. He only told us that Jeff and Dale enjoyed going out and doing random recreational violence, and that was the term they used.
I couldn't understand why. I was just a knockdown target to them. The wrong place, the wrong time.
Someone like Hausner feels so inferior, plus so angry, the only way he can gain some degree of status or notoriety is to do something horrific, which he did.
Was Sam Dieteman just a hopeless addict, dragged along for the ride? Or was he in pursuit of a new intoxicating kick?
Sam was adrift in life. Sam was waiting for someone to take control of his life. And Dale came along and took control of it, and that was very comfortable to Sam.
I don't think Dieteman would have done this without Hausner. This was Hausner's brainchild.
So were Dale Hausner and Sam Dieteman simply thrill-seekers playing at the most dangerous game? Or were they destined to be killers?
I spent years trying to figure this out. I think the best way to describe any one of them are broken units.
Looking at Dale, I believe he was born that way. He didn't turn into this monster growing up. And looking at Sam Dieteman, in this case, he turned into a follower of Dale's and would do anything for Dale just to seem to make him happy.
I don't think any of them were born killers. I think if circumstances had been different in their lives, that you would not see them turning to murder.
I certainly believe that there was something in Dale Hausner all along that caused him. And I think the death of his two children pushed him over the edge.
A traumatic event could serve as a trigger, but it's a trigger to release what is already in the individual. It's not causative, but it could certainly serve as a trigger. But he was filled with an enormous amount of anger, an amount of hostility, Hausner was in particular.
He enjoyed the bloodiness of it. There is something inside Dale, and it is evil. I think he could have fought it if he wanted to.
For those who had their loved ones so unexpectedly taken from them, nothing could ever compensate for the shattering losses they suffered.
Been a lot of years without him, and he had a full life to lead.
Fond memories, however, will always remain.
He was just the most darling boy, and he would put his little hands on my face and he'd say, "Mama, I just love your face. I love your face." And those precious little hands to hold, and he was just the most enjoyable person that was ever put on this earth as far as I'm concerned.
For Paul Patrick, although the scars may never heal, his determination to defy the odds will live on as a fitting tribute to those that were not so fortunate.
I am not going to be beaten. I'm certainly not by those broken units.